So, this is a community. This is a civilized society at work. Yes, this is, that, we have a right to share in these things collectively. And I use that word loosely, not as a forced collective, but just as an understanding that if we're productive, if the farmer feels safe and secure and prosperous, why can't he share it? You see, if we felt all prosperous, we'd be quicker to share. The wealth would be in circulation. It gets silly. There'd be no need to hoard. Nobody would hoard money. There'd be no need to, because you knew you could go to a giant mall where you could pick any automobile you want. Automobiles that could run on, free energy devices like miniaturized hydrogen production units under the hood, because there'd be no money interest in keeping the patents concealed and suppressed. That's what we have. We have an interest, and the oil companies don't have any interest in free energy. Okay, they'd be rendered irrelevant. It's that simple. And these money printers, if we got out of debt, if we had sound currency, we could get out of debt eventually. You see, it would lead to a rising tide of prosperity for everybody, and they can't have that. It would end poverty. And if you ended poverty, guess what else would virtually end overnight? Crime would virtually end. Okay, because the vast majority of crime, it's on record, is committed because of financial desperation. Money is the root of the evil. Okay, how many homicides out there? Okay, these aren't just innocent crimes like robbing a store with a plastic gun. These are often violent crimes. Okay, and they make our society unsafe, so that creates more fear. There's fear everywhere. Even if you're completely financially secure, you're living in a completely fear-imbued world. And you know that. You know that you walk down a street, in the city, and you've got to worry about getting mugged. Is that what you want? Is that what you want for your kids? So all you people with money got to understand the root of this thing and say, it's not okay just that I'm okay. I've got to care about others. If I don't care about the welfare of others, how can I expect for anyone to really care about my welfare? So our welfare is inextricably entwined, and there's nothing any of us can do to change that. So the only way out of that is by caring about the welfare of others, the collective welfare. That's what's going to bring us happiness, is doing the will of God, and that will is not hidden. That will says you should care about your fellow human being. This is love. How else are you going to express your love for one another? That's the greatest commandment of all. Love God above all else, as the rightful source of every good thing. Every good thing, every single good quality and characteristic every one of us has came from above. It was given to us. And we accepted it, and we valued it. Like our conscience, like our goodwill toward humanity. Our nobility of character, ethics and principles, honor and dignity. All these things that we embrace and we like and we want to share with others. We want them to know us. Those things came from above. And Jesus said these are the greatest commandments of all. You could sum up the entire Bible and just knowing these truths. These commandments. To love God above all else. And remember, that's an instinct. It's not a hard thing to do. It's not a religious thing. It's just a thing about going within your closet and praying and communing and fellowshipping with your parents, your divine parents, because they're the only ones that can know and understand you the way you need to be known and understand. They're the ones that love you enough to have numbered the hairs on your head, as it's written. Whether that's a metaphor or not, it doesn't matter. The point is that you've got to tune into that love and seize upon that power. So Jesus said that this is the rightful thing to do. This is the greatest commandment of all, and the second one is like it. And if you do these things, you sum up the law and the prophet. And the second commandment was simply to love one another as you love yourselves, as you love God. And again, those things are like instinct. They're not hard. These are not difficult tasks to do. You'll just care about others. You'll want to solve the problems of your neighbor, of a friend, of a family member, of a co-worker, an associate, a stranger. It doesn't matter who it is. It's still your brother, your sister. And you've got to care about them just like yourself. And this will bring you true happiness. To share, to care, to really care. Not just, with lip service, but deep down in our hearts. When you go to bed at night, do you think about the homeless? Those that are going to perish unnecessarily, needlessly out in the cold, not because of the shortage of housing, not in any way, but because it's being withheld from them. It's like having all kinds of water in a community and saying, no, these people don't have the magic. They haven't served the God of this world right, so we're going to deny them that thing. Even though we've got plenty. We've got more than we can ever use, but we're not going to share it. That's what austerity is like. Artificial scarcity. That's what these people have done to us. And we've all got to wake up to it and see how wrong it is and demand justice on the earth. Could you imagine an end to war? That's the other thing. Okay? Are people going off to war without a paycheck? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. Be honest. Be ruthlessly honest. And see how people aren't going to be motivated to go to war against others. There's not going to be warfare. There's not going to be discontent all over the world. It's the money, the haves and the have-nots, the advantage-disadvantage paradigm, this highly discriminatory, the epitome of discrimination, reality that's been forced on us. This creates the problem. No group wants to be subjugated. And the only way to set the captives free from subjugation is to level the playing field. That nobody has an advantage. Nobody has a card up their sleeve. Okay? That's the only way. So it's through the money that we'll find our way out. And what does attaining sound currency require? It's so simple. It's so simple. A child can understand these philosophies. It requires one thing, checks and balances. It requires oversight. It requires the true government, which is we the people. We're supposed to be commanding the politicians. Our will is supposed to be imposed on them. Remember, they're taking from us. We elected them. We appointed them to do a job for us. And what is that job? To look over our interests, the interest of our children and future generations. And what do we want? It's so simple. The things you really deep down inside want for yourself, typically everybody wants. And everybody can have, folks. Don't believe that some group has to be left out of the loop. We've got to subjugate somebody or else we won't have. If you don't have have-nots, you're not going to. That's evil thinking, folks. That's stinking thinking. And you've got to get away from it because you know what you are? You're a stench in the nostrils of the holy God Almighty. You've got to turn around and say, I get it. And I want God's will to be established on earth. That's the way out of your fear of the God of this world. To say, I know with 100% certainty that good is going to prevail, that it is a more powerful force. And as all the lies of the illegitimate overlords of this world are exposed in this time that was predicted thousands of years ago, we're living in that time, and it is tumultuous. It's tumultuous on a very individual, very personal basis. For all of us are going to experience this tumult differently. But we're also experiencing it on a corporate level. And we've got to care. We've got to see this thing as a wound that's being inflicted on the collective body of humanity. And we've got to reject, to this idea of binding the wound where where humanity has a little abrasion. And, we got to heal the bankers as these too big to fail, and the upper middle class and the upper class. No. You focus on where the wound is hemorrhaging, okay? Where humanity is bleeding out. And that's the people that are going to die out on the streets tonight, that are going to die from the murders caused by economic desperation. Okay, that are going to be caused in the wars caused by economic desperation. The suicides caused by economic desperation. All these problems, the social discontent with the divorces and the abortions and the prostitution and the drug use and alcoholism. I could go on all day with the problems these people cause for us. And it's all true, It's all a matter of fact. I figured it out. I got to the bottom of things. Not because I'm smart, but because I allowed God to give me peace of mind, to show me, reveal to me. I need to keep things simple because I'm actually probably not that smart. And that's why I can't, worry about, this economic principle or that economic, about credit defaults and, derivatives. I don't get into the minutia. I know truth from lies, and it's as simple as that. It's as simple as understanding supply and demand and checks and balances And that's what sound currency, that's the way out of this thing. But are we going to get it? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to really take something huge, something very, very earth-shaking huge. Like, the return of Jesus would be the best case scenario. But I wonder, in the interim, before that time, I do believe that time will come. And it will be a literal event where every eye shall see, every knee shall bow, just like it's written. When you see angelic beings that you've never seen before, and you're wondering, what the heck am I seeing up in the sky? And the mainstream media has to report these events when it's a worldwide phenomenon. That these angels that are going to be seen are called the harvesters of the souls of men. These are the ones with the authority that God uses for his purposes to segregate the wicked from the righteous. Just as Jesus said, like a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. That's what their purpose is going to be at this period of time. And it's going to come suddenly, because so many people are going to just mock the things that I'm saying and so many people are saying. They're not going to be ready. But then there's going to be a group that's going to be ready for this mind-blowing event, because they said, wow, it's going to take something like this to turn it around, to be free from the God of this world, to live in a world free from money, because there's going to be no need for it. That's what sound